How's everybody? So I'm guessing you've seen the news by now that so many different movies are being delayed, whether it be a couple months, by the end of the year, or also some of them are getting delayed all the way until next year. Obviously, that's going to put a damper on some of the content that I put out, but I'm definitely not going away during this time. There are still things to put out, whether it be, obviously, I'm going to still do trailer reactions, unboxings. Maybe I'll bring back monthly Blu-ray updates, because I kind of did them for a while, and then I kind of stopped after a while. But I may bring those back, and also, obviously, just other videos I have in the pipeline that I had already kind of had ideas for that I wanted to do, like this one that I'm doing right now, whether it be stuff like the retrospective reviews, more reviews of streaming service stuff like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Disney Plus, stuff like that. And also, I'm looking into getting some screeners from some of the films that were supposed to premiere at like festivals like South by Southwest. So some of that stuff may be coming up on the channel as well. But now that that's out of the way, I'm not going anywhere. Let's get into the actual topic for the video. Blu-ray collection. I've really never shown off all of the Blu-rays I have in my collection. Obviously, there are a few DVDs here and there. I haven't completely upgraded everything to Blu-ray, which is a work in progress in itself. I got plenty of time now, basically. So I thought it'd be fun to show off. I mean, I have a lot of different cool stuff, especially steelbooks, because steelbooks are kind of my thing. If you haven't been on the channel for a very long time, I like my stuff, my steelbook cases. But before I get into these ones, I do have a couple really cool kind of box sets. I don't have like a lot of box sets just because I don't have like a lot of room for them anymore, sadly. But I will show you a couple of them. So the first thing to show off is something Batman related. As far as superheroes go, you're going to see a lot of Spider-Man and Batman in the collection, and it is the Batman 1966 show limited edition box set, Blu-ray set. They only made 95,000 of these, and I've always really just loved the Batman show from 1966 starring Adam West and Burt Ward. It's super cheesy. I can't deny that it's super cheesy, but I loved watching it. I mean, these look beautiful in Blu-ray. Like, this is easily the best that these shows have ever looked. I used to watch them back when they were on, like, TV Land when I was a kid, and they looked terrible. But these are, like, pristine quality. I mean, you can't go wrong with this Blu-ray box set. Even if you just get them without the limited edition box set, this show is great. Has a lot of really cool extra stuff in here. Like, they have really nice quality books in here for all the Blu-rays, and this bunch of cool bonus features, and they have a little car in here as well, and then they also have some playing cards in here as well. This box set actually used to talk, because you used to be able to press this button and it would, sing the Batman theme song, but the battery died like a year or two ago, so it just doesn't play anything anymore. So the next thing also is Batman related, and is the deluxe limited edition box set for Batman Beyond the complete series. They only made 50,000 of these, if I'm correct, but I mean, this is a staple show of my childhood back in the 99 or so. It was just a great show to watch. There were so many great animated shows, superhero related back then, whether it be this or X-Men the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series, and of course Batman the animated series. A lot of really great superhero related content back then, but it was cool seeing them bring Batman into the future. That kind of was like a thing around that time, and they also did it with Spider-Man, much to less success with the Spider-Man Unlimited show. Really great stuff, brought back a fair amount of the cast that you saw from the animated series from Batman. I mean, I loved it. These episodes look amazing in Blu-ray. I mean, they're just perfect quality to watch. I mean, I've rewatched a fair amount of these already, and it's stunning to look at. And the next thing is something that is easily the biggest thing in my collection, and it is the Criterion Collection set of the Godzilla films, the first 15 Godzilla films from the Showa era. So it's everything from Godzilla 1954 all the way through Terror of Mechagodzilla. This is an amazing box set, especially if you're a fan of Godzilla, especially the older Godzillas, obviously. It has a bunch of really great bonus features. I mean, this packaging is amazing. I mean, you get art and stuff talking about each film in depth. It's really cool. I think it's one of the best things in my collection, even if it does take up way too much space, because I thought that this was going to be a much smaller Blu-ray set. But it's cool. I mean, it's a book. All the Blu-rays are in here, so you can watch them. It's great. I mean, Criterion Collection, they do an amazing job on a lot of their stuff, so you can't go wrong with anything Criterion related. It's just, some of these movies I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, even if I am a Godzilla fan, there are some of these films I haven't been like the biggest fan of, just because I watch most of them. There's 15 Blu-rays in this, and I just don't get into like Son of Godzilla and Ebra. There's a couple of them that are not that great from that era, but most of these are like classics, or they'll be the original, or obviously King Kong versus Godzilla, Mothra, Destroy All Monsters. All that's here. They look beautiful. Criterion does a great job restoring things. Get this if you can. It's very expensive though. So the first thing up is the 101 Dalmatians Steelbook, the Walt Disney Signature Collection. One of the many classics that Disney's put out over the years. I'm slowly collecting all of the Walt Disney Signature Collection Steelbooks as they're released, so this was one of the more recent ones in the last couple of months. Classic film. I always like the 101 Dalmatians. Even the Glenn Close one was actually not that bad either. This next one's actually a DVD. I'm looking back in my collection, but it is The Cure for Wellness, the Gore Verbinski film from a couple of years back starring Dane DeHaan. I really like this movie, for 2/3 of it at least. I think it's kind of underrated. It does a really great job creating eerie ambiance, and Dane DeHaan is kind of like fit perfectly for this kind of role. It kind of just falters a lot in the third act, but those first two acts, great. Definitely recommend this film, at least for the first 2/3. So the next one is A Ghost Story, the A24 film starring Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara. Not as good as I was expecting it to be. I mean, back when it came out, there was like glowing praise. I missed it in theaters. Checked it out on Blu-ray. It's okay for what it is. It's just not a whole lot of anything, though. It's just not for me, I guess you could say. I do like a lot of A24, though. Next one up is the Steelbook for A Quiet Place. I was actually really looking forward to checking this out again recently just because I had my screening for A Quiet Place Part 2 on Monday, but that got canceled. I love the slash marks that are on the front and then the wording on the back. It's cool. I mean, it's a really cool, well-designed steelbook. It's definitely a really good film, in my opinion. It just sucks that the sequel got delayed indefinitely. Hopefully, we'll see it in the next couple months. It's not delayed for a very long time, but this is a really good horror film, in my opinion. Next one is the Blu-ray Steelbook for A Star Is Born, the Bradley Cooper Lady Gaga version. I really like this film. I mean, Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper brought their A game for this. The music is great. I still listen to it to this day. Not too much going on the back, but it's a simple enough steelbook. Really good film. And now we have The Accountant on Blu-ray. I really like this film. Ben Affleck, Gavin O'Connor, they do a really great job together. They just did The Way Back that's in theaters now. I really recommend that film. I have a review for it up actually as well. Just a really good action film. I've really been clamoring for some type of sequel, whether it be through The Accountant 2 movie or whether it be a TV series. I really like the film. Him and John Bernthal. It worked for me, at least. I enjoyed it. Hopefully there's more in the future. You know, we got the Aladdin 4K Steelbook for the Walt Disney Signature Collection. This was one of my favorite films from Disney growing up in the 90s. You can't go wrong with Robin Williams as the genie. Not really a big fan of that new one that we got with Will Smith, but this is the go-to one for me. I actually won this Blu-ray of Alpha, and I've still never watched it, even though I've heard really good things about it. I just keep forgetting about it, so I'm definitely going to put this over here so I actually do watch it. So this is the 6-film set steelbook for the Alien franchise. So it's Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, and then Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Obviously, some of these Alien films are classics, especially the first two. I actually don't mind Alien 3 all too that much, depending on what cut you watch, and then Alien Resurrection's not very good. I like some of the stuff from Prometheus, and Alien Covenant was kind of a mixed bag for me as well. I am curious to see them explore this universe a little bit more, but you can't go wrong with having all the Alien films in one box set. Then we have Alita Battle Angel on Steelbook. It's a divisive film, I have to say, but I'm definitely one of the people that enjoyed the film as a whole. We'll see if we get a sequel. I'd be open to have some type of sequel, whether it be on the big screen or Disney Plus. Either way, let's get something going with Alita Battle Angel. The first 6 seasons of American Horror Story, just because I always ended up getting the season for a while on Black Friday sales, so it's Murder House, Asylum, Coven, Freak Show, Hotel, Roanoke. All of them are here. I have not watched the last couple in a while, but I mean, American Horror Story has gone on for so long. I haven't gotten the last couple of seasons. I mean, I do watch them still. We watched 1984 not that long ago. Wasn't the greatest season, but I'll keep going because I'm a completionist. We've got the American Sniper Steelbook. We also got Annihilation on Blu-ray, another sci-fi film that kind of isn't as appreciated as it should be. I liked it a lot. Steelbooks for both Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. I really enjoy both of these films to varying degrees. The steelbooks also are very cool looking. If you're a steelbook collector, these are two that definitely you want in your collection. This amazing 4K box set of Apocalypse Now with all the different versions. I haven't watched the final cut yet, but I have seen Apocalypse Now, and it's a great classic Francis Ford Coppola film. Atomic Blonde on Blu-ray. If you want to see some females kicking some ass and look really good while doing it, this is the film for you. Charlize Theron is awesome in it. Aquaman 4K Steelbook. Not a huge fan of the actual art style to the Steelbook, but it's a fun enough movie. Jason Momoa doing his thing as Aquaman. I liked him more as Aquaman in this than in the other DCEU stuff. All 4 of the Avengers movies on Steelbook. So the Avengers, Age of Ultron Steelbook, and of course, Infinity War and Endgame. You can't go wrong with these two, right? I mean, this is just a great double feature on its own. These are probably two of my favorite Marvel steelbooks they put out just because I love the design and the colors of it all. But you gotta have all four of the Avengers movies. The Army of Darkness steelbook put out by Scream Factory. Scream Factory puts out a lot of really great stuff, but I mean, you can't go wrong with like the disc art. I'm a disc art person, so I just love how beautiful the disc art is. It comes with all the different cuts of the movie, whether it be the theatrical, director's, and the television cut. So any possible way you want to watch Army of Darkness is the definitive way, in my opinion. I don't know why I have the steelbook for Assassin's Creed. I didn't really like the movie all that much. I like the games, obviously. But, yeah, I don't know why I have this. I'm kind of questioning myself right now. Baby Driver 4K Steelbook. I really enjoyed the film. If you couldn't tell, I've had a Baby Driver poster in my background signed by Edgar Wright for, like, the longest time. Really great guy. I love Edgar Wright. But a huge fan of his work for my whole life. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, all that stuff. Really great film. I hear they're making a sequel soon, so that should be cool. At Times of the El Royale on 4K, this was actually a Black Friday purchase. I really like this movie. I feel like it was really underappreciated when it came out. It actually has more of like a Tarantino-esque quality to it. You could definitely tell Drew Goddard was heavily inspired by Quentin Tarantino, but it was a really fun time with Chris Hemsworth, Jeff Bridges, Dakota Johnson, Cynthia Erivo. A lot of talent in this one. It's just very underlooked. I highly recommend you check it out, though. And of course, since you saw I like the Batman 66 series, I had to get the two animated movies, Batman: The Return of the Caped Crusader, and also Batman vs. Two-Face, where they got William Shatner to do the voice of Two-Face, since Two-Face wasn't in the Batman 66 series, so it was cool to actually see him come to life, and they got somebody from around that time period of William Shatner, of all people. Actually, I think both of these are really fun. I mean, of course, it is kind of sad that they kind of are the last remnants of the Batman 66 series, since, of course, Adam West has passed away, sadly. But these are really fun. If you liked the actual series, you're going to like these as well. They kind of have the same tone. They're just animated. As I talked about Batman Beyond earlier, of course, the Batman animated series from the 90s. Definitive Batman for me. Whenever I read Batman comics, Ken Conroy's voice is the one I picture. And also, Mark Hamill is the Joker. You can't go wrong, and many other, obviously, casts along the way. And of course, this is the Batman section, so you got Batman Begins on Steelbook. Really simple design. I really love that black cover, actually. And also, the Batman v Superman Steelbook, the Ultimate Cut, actually. I like the Ultimate Cut of this film, but I just love this Steelbook. It's such an amazing design. I really like these posters from the film. I wish the film as a whole was a little bit better, but there are things that I do like about it. The Steelbook for Baywatch, the newer version with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in it. I did not buy this. Fortunately, my friend John, The Real Talk, got this for me because I won a contest for him. Haven't watched it since. I kind of regret picking this, but I have it if I want to watch it again. Beauty and the Beast 4K Steelbook from the Walt Disney Signature Collection. I really like the artwork on this. Beauty and the Beast is another one of those 90s films that I really enjoyed from Disney's animated crew. Beetlejuice on Steelbook is probably one of my favorite Tim Burton films. This is probably some of the best work I've seen from him, Winona Ryder, and Michael Keaton as well. This is just a classic for a reason. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure Steelbook from Shout Factory. This is another really great film, in my opinion. Bill and Ted are just classic. Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter. I do need to get Bogus Journey, though. They put out a Steelbook for Bogus Journey, and I haven't gotten around to it yet. I know that it's red. It looks really cool. I just haven't gotten around to it. I definitely need to get it before the third film comes out. Both Blade Runner films, so Blade Runner: The Final Cut and also Blade Runner 2049. Both films are good sci-fi films. Obviously, there's a reason why Blade Runner is so iconic after all these years. I wasn't, like, the hugest fan, I guess you could say, of Blade Runner 2049, but I did like it for the most part. It just gets a little bit too long for me in some cases, so I don't rewatch it all the time, but it's some really good sci-fi, in my opinion. Roger Deakins' cinematography was phenomenal. Black Klansman, a Spike Lee movie, really enjoyed it. I think that John David Washington and Adam Driver are both spectacular in this. You can definitely tell if you watch this film that John David Washington has a very bright career ahead of him. Obviously, he's Denzel Washington's son, so that helped a little bit, but he actually is very talented. Black Panther Blu-ray Steelbook. I love the artwork on both the front and back. I think my back actually is a little bit better, in my opinion, because the back is really cool as well. Really great Marvel film. Definitely in at least the top 10, top 15 Marvel films, in my opinion, as far as the MCU goes. Criterion Blu-ray of The Blob, the Steve McQueen version. I like this film. It's cheesy, hokey from that time period, but if you want to get a really great essence of what time was like back then, this is one of the really great kind of monster movie, B movies, in my opinion. Booksmart on Blu-ray, another really fun modern comedy. Caitlin Dever and Mandy Feldstein are great. Olivia Wilde also directed the hell out of this movie. Brawl in Cell Block 99, a really great film. Vince Vaughn probably gives one of the best performances of his career in this. This is coming from the same director as Bone Tomahawk. Both this and Bone Tomahawk are extremely violent, so don't don't watch this if you're like eating anything, just because it is so over the top. Breakfast Club on Criterion Collection, 4K digital restoration, looks perfect, probably the definitive version of this movie. Criterion can do no wrong in my eyes. All of their Blu-rays are great. Like, great quality, great special features, because I'm a special features kind of person. We don't get a lot of those anymore. Everything on it is fantastic. If you love the film, get this version. Bride of Frankenstein, one of the Universal movies from back in the day. I really love the artwork on all of these steelbooks just because it's all done by the great Alex Ross. You'll see more of them in the future because I have all of them, but this is definitely one of the classics for a reason. Bohemian Rhapsody on steelbook. This is definitely one of the cooler, unique steelbooks just because it is all gold with some purple and pink lettering and outlines. I wish the film overall was better, just because Rami Malek obviously is the shining star of this movie, but it's still fun overall. Bumblebee Steelbook, this is another really fun movie. I think it's probably one of the best entries in the Transformers franchise. They did a really great job. Once they took it away from Michael Bay, gave it to Travis Knight, he did a really great job making it a unique Transformers film. Haley Steinfeld also was great. All three of the Captain America films, so Captain America the First Avenger on Steelbook, Captain America the Winter Soldier on steelbook, and my personal favorite, one of the actual coolest looking steelbooks, is the Captain America Civil War steelbook, the original Blu-ray one. This is just such a cool steelbook between the front and the back with the divided shield and the Iron Man helmet. Captain Marvel steelbook, an okay movie in my opinion. It could have been better. I'm excited to see what Brie Larson does with the character in the future though. Cinderella steelbook from the Walt Disney Signature Collection, another simple. I love the purple of it all because the purple is one of my favorite colors, so that's probably why I'm a little bit biased towards how cool this looks. I really need to upgrade my DVD copy of Creed to Blu-ray just because I absolutely love that film, but I do have the 4K Blu-ray steelbook for Creed 2. I think both of these films are great additions to the Rocky franchise, the spin-off, whatever you want to call it. I hope they make another one. I think it's in development. I'm curious to see where they're going to take it. If they stopped with Creed 2, I think it would have been great either way, but I am curious to see where it goes from here. The Child's Play remake on Blu-ray, another Black Friday purchase. I think I was a little bit too hard initially on this movie when I first reviewed it. I don't think it's still a good movie per se, but there are some elements I can enjoy and respect just because they had to do a little bit different kind of things from the original. Christine Steelbook, one of the classics from Stephen King. Coco Steelbook, probably one of my favorite Pixar films. It definitely hit me a lot more than some of the other Pixar films I've watched in recent years. Crawl on Blu-ray, this was one of my biggest surprises from last year. I really enjoyed this film a lot. It's alligators, they're stuck in a house. It's actually a lot of fun. Creature from the Black Lagoon, another Universal monster movie. This is another one of those ones I really like a lot. I really hope that they do another version of this since they are kind of doing more of the Universal monsters. They did The Invisible Man. They're doing a Dracula film. I hope that they do a really great version of this. Obviously, The Shape of Water does have homages to it, I guess you could say, to Creature from the Black Lagoon, but a definitive Creature from the Black Lagoon. Special edition for Crimson Peak from Era Video. There's a lot of really great bonus features and like booklets and posters and stuff like that inside this. This is probably the definitive version you can get from Crimson Peak. At first, I really didn't like Crimson Peak all that much. I'm a huge Guillermo del Toro fan. He's probably my favorite director of all time. But I didn't connect with it the first time. But on the rewatch, I liked it a whole lot more. Really creepy ambiance that you come to expect from his movies. Highly recommend it, even if you don't get this version. Another Guillermo del Toro film, the Criterion release for Kronos. This is actually Guillermo del Toro's feature debut. And what a debut it is. This is a very out-of-the-box, weird, twisted kind of story you come to expect now from Guillermo del Toro. I highly recommend it. Ron Perlman's in it, so you can definitely see that Ron Perlman pops up a lot in other Guillermo del Toro films throughout the years. Got the director's cut of Daredevil. It doesn't change it too much. It's not like a much better version, but I definitely think it is a little bit better than the original Daredevil we got. X-Men Dark Phoenix steelbook. It's a pretty cool looking steelbook. It does suck that this is going to probably be the last X-Men film that we get, because who knows when the New Mutants actually is going to come out anymore. The movie's not as awful as everyone says it is, but it's not really good either. There are worse X-Men films. I have most of the X-Men films on Steelbook, so you'll see more of those later. The Danny Phantom Complete series. I actually loved this show growing up on Nickelodeon. This show, I don't think it got as much love as it should have in its heyday. This is one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows. This, and also The Fairly Odd Parents. Really cool concept. I hope it comes back in some form in the future. Blu-ray steelbooks for both The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, so I got all three Nolan films on steelbook. Dark Tower 4K steelbook. I kind of regret getting this, if I'm being honest. I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, but I like the Steelbook. I'm a sucker for Stephen King. It's another one of those WTFs. Why is this in my collection? Going for the Planet of the Apes Steelbook. Criterion Blu-ray for The Devil's Backbone. This is probably my second favorite film that Guillermo del Toro's ever done. It's very haunting, but also beautiful at the exact same time. Steelbooks for both Deadpool and Deadpool 2, as well as I actually have one of the SDCC exclusives from 2016, signed copies that are signed by Ryan Reynolds. Really cool, just a kind of fun little tidbit to my memorabilia collection. I mean, can't go wrong with Deadpool. Deepwater Horizon Steelbook, kind of a random one. Detective Pikachu Steelbook, I mean, can't go wrong with Detective Pikachu. It's another fun film. The Disaster Artist, you can't go wrong with James Franco playing Tommy Wiseau. Django Unchained Steelbook, another really cool Quentin Tarantino Steelbook in the collection. Doctor Sleep Steelbook, I mean, Mike Flanagan did a really great job doing the sequel to The Shining. Doctor Strange Blu-ray Steelbook, this is another really cool one in the collection. I just love the Eye of Agamotto on the cover. There's still a few more of these Doctor Who ones I need to get, but I got the Steelbooks from overseas for Series 1 of the New Who, Doctor Who, and also Season 2, Series 2, and also Series 10. So, can't go wrong with Doctor Who. Steelbook Blu-ray for Drive. Steelbook for Dracula from the 1930s. This is another one of those really awesome steelbooks done by Alex Ross. The cover art's amazing. Obviously, Dracula's a classic. Drag Me to Hell Collector's Edition and from Scream Factory. Definitely a very underrated Sam Raimi horror film. I wish that he would do more horror films. I mean, he's coming back for Doctor Strange, but we need to get him back to doing horror films. This is a lot of fun. I don't have a lot of Dragon Ball Z stuff in my collection, sadly. I need to rectify that. But I got 2 Blu-rays of several of the different movies they've released for Dragon Ball Z, whether it be 3 of the 4 Broly movies, where it's Broly Legendary Super Saiyan, Broly Second Coming, and Bio Broly, and also the 2 Cooler movies. So these are some of my favorite Dragon Ball Z movies, so I had to get these on Blu-ray, digitally remastered. Steelbooks for both Dunkirk and E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Just kind of funny how these 2 are next to each other in the collection, just do the alphabetical order. 8th Grade on Blu-ray. Elf Steelbook, because you know I had to get one, because I mean, I love Elf. Ex Machina on Blu-ray. I definitely need to upgrade this to 4K, because it's definitely worth it, because the visuals are beautiful. Evil Dead Steelbook. I also have the DVD for the remake, but I really do love the remake from Fede Alvarez. I definitely need to upgrade this to Blu-ray. Fanboys on Blu-ray. If you're a fan of Star Wars, this is a definite watch for you. You're going to love this in some capacity. It has tons of cameos from Star Wars actors. Even William Shatner's in it. It's actually co-written by Ernest Cline, who did Ready Player One. Both steelbooks for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald. I only really got Crimes of Grindelwald just because I have all the other Harry Potter related steelbooks, so I'm kind of completionist. Not a huge fan of this one. It is kind of ruining Fantastic Beasts for me, but I love the first one. Fargo on Blu-ray Steelbook from Shout Factory. The Farewell on Blu-ray. The Favorite. Fences. Fifth Element Steelbook and Fight Club as well. Just 2 classic films. First Man on 4K. Fair amount of Flash related stuff. You got the TV show from the 90s Flash. And I also got the first 3 seasons of The Flash, because I got the regular first season of The Flash. And also, they made 2 steelbooks for the seasons of 2 and 3. But they didn't make any other ones here, at least in the US. So that's kind of unfortunate. I think that's part of why I didn't get the rest of them. These first 3 seasons, though, are the best of The Flash, in my opinion. I still watch the show, but I don't think it's as good as it used to be. Flatliners Steelbook, of course, this is the original with Julia Roberts, Kiefer Sutherland, and Kevin Bacon, not that really bad film that came out a couple years ago. Ford v Ferrari Steelbook, I absolutely love this film. James Mangold did a phenomenal job. Forrest Gump Steelbook, because why not? Everyone likes Forrest Gump. Frankenstein Steelbook, another phenomenal Alex Ross cover. I mean, Boris Karloff, you can't go wrong. He is like the quintessential Frankenstein. Frozen Steelbook, I do still need to get Frozen 2. Game Night, another fun comedy. Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams did a really great job in this. It's definitely a fun, rewatchable comedy. Steelbook for Get Out. I think a lot of people forget that this actually had a steelbook, because every time I've shown it to someone, they didn't realize it actually had a steelbook at all. Really great film. Jordan Peele knocked it out of the park with this one. I really need to upgrade Gifted to Blu-ray just because I really like this film. Chris Evans, McKenna Grace, directed by Mark Webb. Not a lot of people talk about it. I don't think a lot of people saw it. I highly recommend you check it out if you want to get in your feelings. Steelbooks for both the original Ghost in the Shell and also the Scarlett Johansson led one. Glass Steelbook. I mean, if you can't tell, I like myself some Alex Ross art. I highly recommend it. Film was okay. I think the ending actually kind of ruined a lot of the movie for me. I thought it was okay up until that third act. Like I said to you guys earlier, I'm a huge Godzilla fan, so I do have a fair amount of Godzilla films. I mean, I got this double pack of Godzilla vs. Megaguirus and Godzilla vs. Destroya, and also Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. Plus all the American Godzillas, of course. You got Godzilla from 1998 on 4K Steelbook. You also got Godzilla King of the Monsters. And you also got the original 2014 Godzilla directed by Gareth Edwards. All very cool designs for their Steelbooks. I like the American Godzillas to varying degrees. Both of these ones, at least. I don't really like the 98 one as much. Good Time and also Gone Girl, great films. Safdie brothers and David Fincher are some of my favorite directors. Greatest Showman Blu-ray Steelbook, another fun musical, even if it's not historically accurate. Both Guardians of the Galaxy movies on Blu-ray Steelbook, obviously Guardians of the Galaxy in Volume 2. Hacksaw Ridge Blu-ray Steelbook. Few different Halloween Steelbooks. I got the original Halloween on Steelbook, but I also got these two epic ones from Scream Factory, these Steelbooks for Halloween 2 and also Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Both of these are very cool as well, but of course I got more Halloween Steelbooks. I got the first Rob Zombie on Halloween Director's Cut, Collector's Edition, all that stuff. Fun time. Like the first one, didn't like the second one, but I mean, if they make a Steelbook, I may get it. And of course, Halloween 2018, I got the original one. They put one out again with artwork done by Todd McFarlane. I haven't gotten around to that one yet. Like I said earlier, I got all the Harry Potter films on Steelbook right here. The covers aren't very exciting though. They're kind of just plain. They just have the Harry Potter and whatever the movie is called. None of them are all that exciting really, unfortunately. Heat on Blu-ray. Steelbook for Heathers, another 80s classic. I actually got both of the Guillermo del Toro Hellboy films on Steelbook. Steelbook for Hellboy and obviously Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Hell or High Water on Blu-ray. Of course, as a 90s kid, Hey Arnold, the complete series. I mean, you can't go wrong with Hey Arnold. It's another one of those classic Nickelodeon cartoons. Hereditary on 4K, probably one of my favorite A24 films. High Life on Blu-ray, another A24 film I recommend, although I'm kind of mixed on. Hocus Pocus Steelbook, I just love that the Steelbook is actually just the book from the movie. Hot Fuzz, another Edgar Wright film that's just phenomenal, I highly recommend it. Home Alone on Steelbook, the first Home Alone. I need to get a Steelbook for number 2 somewhere, just because, you know, those are the definitive 2 Home Alone films in my eyes. Criterion Blu-ray of House, this really trippy Japanese horror film. It's easily one of the weirdest movies I've probably ever seen. Just look up clips of House on YouTube. Obviously not the TV show House, but the Japanese horror film House. It's pretty wild. I don't have all of the Hunger Games Blu-rays, but I do have the Steelbooks for both the first Hunger Games and Catching Fire. I do need to get the Steelbooks for both Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2. Steelbook for Inception, another Christopher Nolan film in the collection. Of course, as a big Pixar fan, I got both The Incredibles on Steelbook as well. I like the first one just because it's, you know, it's so cool looking, and also even the second one where the suit's in the washing machine. Steelbook for The Incredible Hulk, kind of the forgotten about movie in the MCU since there's not really too many ties, obviously since Edward Norton was replaced by Mark Ruffalo going on. But they are integrating some of the characters in this. Obviously, Thunderbolt Ross has been in a couple films so far. Inside Out Steelbook, I love Pete Docter, so I had to make sure I got this day one. They are releasing pretty much every Pixar film now on Steelbook. I'm slowly trying to get all of them. Interstellar on Blu-ray, sadly the Christopher Nolan film I don't have in my collection, that's Steelbook. The Invisible Man on Steelbook. Claude Rains is the best part about this version of the Universal Monster. Highly recommend it. The new film also is great as well, but this is the classic. And I do have all 3 Iron Man films on Steelbook, so Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, when they re-released them out on 4K, they all look beautiful. Not as big of a fan of Iron Man 2. Iron Man 3's okay sometimes. It's just one of those movies that go up and down for me. Of course, I have all 3 It's on Steelbook. Of course, I have the miniseries, and I also have It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2 on Steelbook. Just really great films. I mean, the second one isn't as good as the first one just because the first half of the book is so much better. Steelbook for the horror film It Follows. Definitely like the vintage vibes of this. Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Really happy to see them once again together on the big screen. Got all 3 John Wick films on Steelbook. So John Wick 1, John Wick 2, and of course John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. Really great franchise. Happy for Keanu. Jojo Rabbit on 4K. One of my favorite films from last year. I love Taika Waititi. Joker on 4K Steelbook, another film that I really enjoyed from last year. Steelbooks for both Jumanji and Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. I love the first Jumanji Steelbook a whole lot more just because it's literally the board game. It's sweet. But I like the sequel, the Welcome to the Jungle sequel, and the third one's coming out on Blu-ray very soon, so I'll probably end up getting the next level as well. And of course, Justice League Steelbook. Not the biggest fan of Justice League, but I have all of the other DCEU films, so I need it in the collection. The artwork by Jim Lee is pretty cool though, I'll give it that at least. Karate Kid 35th Anniversary on 4K. It looks great in 4K. I love the Karate Kid, so this is a must-buy for me. The Kid Who Would Be King, this was a Black Friday purchase. I like elements of this movie, but it's not great overall. And of course, Killer Clowns from Outer Space Steelbook. You know, very cool, very simple design. 4K Steelbook for Peter Jackson's King Kong. I really enjoyed this movie. Peter Jackson did a hell of a job. It looks great in 4K. I really need to get the original King Kong in some form. I actually haven't watched it in a very long time, but I love that as well. Steelbooks for both Kingsman and Kingsman The Golden Circle. Both of these films are very fun. I definitely think the first one's a little bit better, but I enjoy both of these. Looking forward to The King's Man whenever that actually does end up coming out. Steelbook for Knives Out, another one of my favorites from last year. 4K Steelbook for Kong Skull Island. Steelbook for La La Land from Damien Chazelle. And Lady and the Tramp, another Walt Disney Signature Collection Steelbook. Both the Lara Croft Tomb Raider movies starring Angelina Jolie. It is interesting seeing the contrast between these and the more recent one with Alicia Vikander. Interesting also that Daniel Craig is in the first Tomb Raider with this American accent, which just sounds weird. I'm just now realizing I don't have the original Lego movie on Steelbook, but I do have the Steelbook for the second part and also Lego Batman, so I definitely need to get the first Lego movie on Steelbook soon. The Lighthouse on Blu-ray, another really great film from last year. Really great stuff here. Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson doing these crazy main accents. It's a fun time. DVD for Lights Out. I need to upgrade this to Blu-ray at some point. I actually really enjoyed this horror film directed by David F. Sandberg. This was like, I guess you could say, his big break. Now he's moved on to doing like Annabelle Creation and also Shazam. So curious to see where his career trajectory goes from here. 2 Disney Steelbooks, the Signature Collection ones. One is The Little Mermaid and one is The Lion King. 2 classics. Lock on DVD. Nobody really talks about this A24 film, but it's actually really intriguing. It's literally just Tom Hardy in a car as his life kind of unravels. It's really interesting, really creative. It doesn't sound as interesting when I'm describing it to you, but I highly recommend checking it out. Steelbook for Logan, of course. I mean, this is probably one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. Blu-ray of Long Shot. Love and Mercy. I really like this film as well. I highly recommend you check it out, based around Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. Magnificent Seven Blu-ray, the remake. Mallrats DVD. Can't go wrong with some more Kevin Smith. Man of Steel Steelbook, not the biggest fan still of all of these different artworks, but I do at least like the ones that are done with the artwork with Jim Lee. The Martian Steelbook, the extended edition. Mary and the Witch's Flower, a highly underrated film in my opinion. It's made up of a lot of the former Studio Ghibli employees. Mid-90s DVD for Mimic. It's a very old DVD. You can definitely tell it doesn't really have like anything on it. It's Guillermo del Toro film. Probably my least favorite from him actually. DVD for Moonlight. The first Mortal Kombat on Blu-ray. This really awesome steelbook for Mothra. Multiple Mummy steelbooks. The first one is the Boris Karloff The Mummy. And I also got the Ultimate Collection steelbook for The Mummy, which is the Brendan Fraser ones, the 3 of them. It also has a Scorpion King in there. I thought that was interesting. And unfortunately, Tom Cruise's The Mummy. I have the steelbook for that as well. I got that a long time ago. I regret it, but, you know, I had to get it. I couldn't help myself. I don't own the first couple Mission Impossibles. That's a mistake on my part, but I do have the last couple on steelbook. Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Mission Impossible Fallout. Some really great films. I really love the Mission Impossible franchise. I can't believe I don't actually own the Blu-ray for Nightcrawler. I only have the DVD. I need to upgrade that. I mean, this is a great Jake Gyllenhaal film. I have a Jake Gyllenhaal photo up there. I mean, it's the famous scene from the movie. Nightmare Before Christmas steelbook. Can't go wrong with that. Those steelbooks for the Now You See Me films. Oculus on DVD. This was my introduction into Mike Flanagan. He's gone on to be such a great filmmaker in the horror genre. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood steelbook. This is definitely one of the cooler looking steelbooks in my collection, I think anyways. If you like some martial arts films, the Ong Bak trilogy is definitely one of my go-tos. Tony Jaa does some really crazy action scenes, some really crazy stunts in this. If you like all that stuff in martial art films, these are the films for you. Overlord on 4K. Pacific Rim Uprising steelbook. I don't know why I have this one and not the first one. Pan's Labyrinth of the Criterion Collection. This is probably my favorite Guillermo del Toro film. I highly recommend this one. Parasite on Blu-ray. I'm probably going to end up owning this again when they release it on the Criterion Collection. But for now, I definitely needed to support this movie. This was my favorite film of last year, and I'm really happy that it won Best Picture. The Peanut Butter Falcon, a movie that I really feel like deserved a lot more love than it got. Really great film. The books are both the original Pet Sematary and the Pet Sematary remake. Peter Pan Steelbook from the Walt Disney Signature Collection. Criterion release for The Princess Bride. I do love that it's actually like literally like a book. It's really neat. Problem Child on Blu-ray. I used to watch this all the time. I definitely need to get the sequel to Problem Child 2. Power Rangers Steelbook. I'm still really disappointed we're not getting any follow-up to this. We're just going to reboot it all over again. Alfred Hitchcock Psycho on Steelbook. Actually got Predator on its own Steelbook, and I also just got the whole Predator collection as well. And also the Steelbook for The Predator. Steelbooks are the first 3 Purge films, so The Purge, and then obviously Purge Anarchy and Purge Election Year. Ratatouille Steelbook, 4K, one of my favorite Pixar films. Ready or Not, I really hate this Blu-ray cover, but it's just a Disney thing since they acquired Fox. Still a great movie though. Ready Player One Steelbook, A Revenant Steelbook, Rise of the Planet of the Apes on Steelbook. Also got RoboCop on Steelbook, the original film from Arrow Video. Arrow Video does a really great job. I actually really like this because it has the director's cut as well and the theatrical. Rocket Man Steelbook. Taron Egerton did a phenomenal job portraying Elton John in this. All the Rocky movies in one Steelbook collection. The Room Blu-ray. Yes, I own The Room on Blu-ray. Seven Samurai for the Criterion Collection. Akira Kurosawa makes some really phenomenal films in his day, and this is definitely one of the ones I highly recommend, but it's not something you'll rewatch all the time because it is quite long. It's about 3.5 hours. The Shape of Water on Steelbook. Sharp Objects. I actually still have not checked this out, even though I got it on Black Friday. Definitely let me know if you've actually seen this, by the way. Shaun of the Dead on Steelbook. Steelbook for Shazam. Blu-ray for Shin Godzilla. Definitely a very interesting Godzilla interpretation. Shining Steelbook, the Blu-ray one. I need to get the actual 4K one with the yellow cover. It looks much better than this, but this is also cool as well. Silence of the Lambs, the Criterion Collection version. Thing Steelbook, Illumination. I actually don't like a lot of Illumination, but this is one of the exceptions, I guess you could say. Sleeping Beauty Steelbook from the Walt Disney Signature Collection. Skyfall Blu-ray Steelbook. They're actually putting out all of the Daniel Craig era Bond films on 4K Steelbook soon, so I'll probably end up replacing this at some point. Southpaw Steelbook. Space Jam Steelbook. Spider, a very weird David Cronenberg movie, but a lot of his movies are actually pretty weird. Definitely not talked about as much. Ray Fiennes stars in this, but if you can actually find this somewhere, you need to check this weird movie out. I would get into the Spider-Man section. If you couldn't tell, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Steelbooks for both all the Raimi films and the 2 Mark Webb films. Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Far From Home Steelbooks. And also, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. One of the really cool things in my collection is I actually do have the 3 DVDs of the original trilogy Star Wars that actually have the original theatrical versions of them. The ones that pretty much nobody really sees all that much anymore after George Lucas kind of tweaked around with them a lot. They're really cool, actually, to revisit now and then to see what they originally were like. I do have some Star Wars Steelbooks, though, because I do have Solo: A Star Wars Story Steelbook, and of course, The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. The Rise of Skywalker Steelbook comes out at the end of this month, so I'll probably be ending up getting that as well, just to complete the sequel trilogy. Straight Outta Compton Steelbook. Suicide Squad Steelbook. Definitely my least favorite in the film in the DCEU. Superbad Steelbook. First 2 seasons of Supergirl, obviously regular DVD, and then they made a Steelbook for season 2. This is back when I liked Supergirl. I no longer watch Supergirl. I think it got a lot worse as the seasons went on. Suspiria Remake on Blu-ray. Amazon's not really putting out a lot of Blu-rays anymore, so this is probably one of the very few Amazon movies that I actually own. Tag on Blu-ray. A really fun comedy in my opinion. Definitely check it out. Taken Trilogy Steelbook. I only really like the first Taken, but all 3 of them are in one. The third movie has one of the worst chase scenes I've ever seen. If you ever check out Liam Neeson trying to get over that fence. It's really random look at my collection that I only own Terminator 2 Judgment Day and Terminator Genesis out of all of the Terminator installments. I will eventually get all of them. I mean, only the first 2 really are really good. I mean, Terminator Dark Fate, the recent one, was okay, but I've kind of just been lollygagging when it comes to getting that one. DVD for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. A phenomenal film. Definitely recommend this one. They Live Steelbook from Scream Factory. Books for all 3 Thor films. So obviously Thor, Thor the Dark World, and also Thor Ragnarok. Latest Tomb Raider film starring Alicia Vikander. I found myself really enjoying this. It is a video game movie and they get a bad rap, but I thought this was fine for what it was. All 4 Toy Story films on Steelbook. It is kind of weird that Toy Story 4 doesn't really match the other 3, but I love me some Toy Story. These are great films. Train to Busan Steelbook, a really great South Korean zombie flick. I highly recommend you check this out. I believe it was on Netflix at one point. I don't know if it still is. They are making a follow-up film in some kind, whether it be a sequel, kind of sidequel set in the same universe. I'm really looking forward to that later this year if it comes out. 2 Transformers Steelbooks. You got the full Transformers collection of all the Michael Bay Transformers films. Only like maybe 2 of them. And of course, the classic Transformers, the movie from the 1980s. You've Got the Touch is still one of my favorite songs whenever I listen to it. Steelbook for Us, another Jordan Peele film I really enjoyed. I'm just excited to see him do even more horror films after this and Get Out. Steelbook for Venom, it's not a good movie, but there are some elements of it that are okay. I'm more excited for the sequel. Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets Steelbook. There are actually some fun elements to this movie. I don't think this is a good movie at all. Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne were horribly miscast in these roles, but there are some elements of the world that I do like in the special effects. War Dogs Steelbook. War for the Planet of the Apes Steelbook. Watchmen Steelbook, the movie, not the TV show, because that's not out yet. Waves Blu-ray. I actually have not watched this yet. It's in my pile of things that I'm getting around to now that I have some free time. What We Do in the Shadows. This is one of my favorite comedies. I love that they actually turned this concept into a TV show as well on FX. Also really funny on there. I highly recommend you check out the movie first and then the TV show second, just so you get a bigger sense of the world and the kind of comedy that you're supposed to expect from Taika Waititi and company. Whiplash Steelbook. Widows on 4K. Wreck-It Ralph Steelbook. I actually don't have the Steelbook for the second film, but I'm getting around to it. Like I said, there's a lot of films that I still need to get around to give you the completionist. Wolfman Steelbook, the Universal version from 1941. Wonder Woman Steelbook. Like I said before, I'm not a huge fan of the art that they do for a lot of these DCEU Steelbooks. I really like Wonder Woman though, but this Steelbook design just isn't for me. We got a whole lot of X-Men Steelbooks because we got X-Men, X2, X-Men United, X3, The Last Stand, X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, and also X-Men Apocalypse. And obviously earlier you saw I got Dark Phoenix and Logan. So that's basically every X-Men movie I have in my collection. I haven't gotten the Wolverine or X-Men Origins Wolverine yet. They're just not that great in my opinion, but I'm gonna eventually get them. Her Name, probably one of the best animated movies to come out in recent years. I think it's definitely a movie you need to check out if you like some animated films. Last but not least, for now, is the first 2 seasons of Yu Yu Hakusho, the anime. I love this show. I'm actually rewatching it right now as I'm getting these steelbooks. I'm enjoying rewatching the show. There are a couple more seasons of it left that the steelbooks are out for. I'm going to get those soon as well. Highly recommend Yu Yu Hakusho. It's a very forgotten about Funimation anime. When you think of like classic animes, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho should be right up there. So that's it. That's, as of right now, my complete Blu-ray collection, obviously with some DVDs thrown in there. It was actually a really fun video, actually showing you guys all of the different Blu-rays I have. Obviously, I have a fair amount of steelbooks, probably more than I probably could count. I didn't count them all, if I'm being honest. There's just too many movies to count, so many movies to see, still so many movies to buy. But let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this Blu-ray, my complete Blu-ray collection? Did you like it? What would you say are some of the standouts in my collection, I guess you could say? There's definitely some movies you could judge me for owning just because there are some questionable ones, like, the Assassin's Creed or Tom Cruise The Mummy is ones I can think of off the top of my head. Some of those movies I question myself for buying myself. Either way, we can have some fun with it. If you have some favorite Blu-rays or some movies that you recommend I get on Blu-ray, definitely leave some comments in the comment section down below. We can talk about all things movies here. But thank you as always for checking out my videos. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like. Hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with my movie reviews, channel reactions, unboxings, and more. But next time, I'll see you guys later.